switching. Okay, good. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to today's Meshery Development Meeting. And as our tradition goes, so we would start off with introduction to newcomers. And I'm just finding, yeah, I'm finding newcomers. So, um, Suhail, is it your first time on this call, or you have joined it previously also?
Yeah, and actually just to offer up an icebreaker just before we make people uncomfortable and put them on the spot. We'll just say, hey, this is the Meshery Development Meeting. Welcome everybody. It's November 30th, Wednesday, hump day for some of us. Gosh, we only have a few more meetings left before the end of the year. But there's a lot. I expect we might have an interesting release coming up. We've been talking about the Meshery Playground. Maybe that'll be a topic today. We'll see. By the way, this is Meshery is a CNCF project, so we abide by the same code of conduct that the rest of the CNCF projects use. So if you're gonna, if you're gonna swear or something like that, maybe just do it yourself. I don't know if anyone caught that. Okay. Anyway, just be nice to others is the point. And with that, I'm going to clam up and let Abhi welcome some newcomers if we've got any.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee. You always correct me. So, Suhail, it's your first time on this call, right?
Yes, this was my first time. Yeah, I
Hello.
have joined the weekly websites call. I think it was yesterday.
Okay. Oh, nice. Because I was not on the call, so it might be very helpful if you get to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am in my 4th year of my engineering, uh, doing computer science from University of
Okay.
Mumbai. Yeah, it's my second last sem, so looking forward to contribute to Meshery.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there should have been something for you already reserved. So yeah, you can just hop onto the Slack and uh, get the conversation going on further there. And yeah, stick to this call if you have any problems or whatever you have, you can just raise your questions. And there are two more calls. I think on Thursday we have a newcomers call and CI call also. But I think tomorrow is not a CI call, right? So it's bi-weekly call. So anyways, tomorrow is a newcomers call also. So yeah, feel free to join that call too. And did I miss someone else? Because I see similar names. Some people are missing their surnames, so I might be wrong in picking them up. But yeah, if someone else is new to this call and they haven't introduced themselves yet on this call, so they can just, the mic is yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Devasish, you might want to introduce. I think you've got a first topic this morning, and so maybe if you just want to do a quick introduction, and then
Sure.
let's roll to your topic.
Yeah, I'm Devashish. I'm currently studying in NIT Jamshedpur in computer application branch, and it's my second year. So I'm looking forward to contribute to open source and found Meshery, and I'm trying to set it up. I'm failing to set it up, like it's does not connect, is not connecting to the Kubernetes cluster of Minikube that I'm running locally. That's it. And it is not my first call. Actually, I have joined this call almost a month ago, and after that, my laptop get need to fixed, so I'm not able to continue after that. And
Okay, in that case, yeah, thanks once again for joining. So Debashish, you can just tell us your problem, like what's your environment and how is it going on?
actually, I'm using Windows WSL, and before that, like I have not installed Meshery CTL yesterday. Like I'm trying to use the Meshery extension in Docker and try to connect with the Minikube. But when I install the Meshery extension in Docker, it is not connecting to the Minikube. Like the when I try to upload the cube config file, and there's a similar problem. Someone else in the Slack, like Pratik, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's me. Yeah.
Yeah, you have called a similar thing, but after calling the Meshery CTL that time, actually all the all the like Meshery CTL system start. All the containers of Meshery is running inside the Minikube, not in my environment, not in my Docker.
I'm going to interrupt.
Then
Just say, hey, yeah, perfect. Actually, what would be helpful to everybody, including yourself, is to share your screen and just take us through it. So, very briefly,
sure.
there's a couple of folks on the call that have had a hard time getting Meshery connected to Kubernetes. So, let's get you up and rolling. You've probably got a network issue. Is my biggest hunch. Either that, or if you drop your laptop down the stairs and mistreat it like you have, Debashish, then maybe it's. I'm totally kidding, by the way. It just you said your laptop was, but it's also one of the other common issues that people run into is just like a lack of capacity. It occasionally happens to people. It certainly happens on my machine. But yeah, let's share your screen if you would. Let's dig in. So, Pratik, you're in this similar. Just to clarify for everybody, this is a great walkthrough for everyone here. Pratik, will you bring up the Meshery docs, if you don't mind, specifically the installation guide with respect to Minikube, so that we can make sure.
Yeah, I have gone through the docs, but my all Messenger containers are not running. Like there are three of them are running, and after that, when I launch my Messenger UI on my local browser, 9081 port, then I face that I can't connect with my local Minikube cluster.
Yep, Roger. Actually, so do me us this favor, if you would keep us honest. You're very familiar with the Meshery, the Minikube page. If we say or do anything in the next 8 minutes, because we're going to get it figured out in 8 minutes, then please make an update to that docs page.
Okay, sure.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. All right. Well, yeah, Debashish, if you don't mind walking us through.
Okay, like so it said first we need to install Meshery CTL, so I have installed that, like Meshery CTL. It's working, and after that, if I started Minikube, so it's starting.
So Abdullah made a great point inside the chat, which is, hey, instead of using an Minikube, he just used the Kubernetes inside of Docker Desktop, since he was using Docker Desktop already, which is ideal. It just makes it even easy. You forego a couple of networking challenges when you use the Kubernetes inside of Docker Desktop. I'll also say this: the community has created a Docker extension that you can just.
No, I have installed the Docker extension. Like I have to connect with a Kubernetes cluster using, like there is a command called flatten of something, like a config file, and I when I want to like upload that.
If you've used the Docker extension, perfect. Then why do you need Mini? You don't. If you use the Docker extension, you're running Docker Desktop, which means you've got access right at your fingertips, right at your local host fingertips. More importantly, Kubernetes. So let's do this, man. I mean, like, we can go through the Kubernetes, the Minikube setup, and we'll get you going. You've got a networking issue, most likely. You're probably
might be like in the video, some older video that I have seen, that you have said that the Minikube network bridge is not connecting through the Meshery network bridge, I think. Okay.
That's just one way to solve the issue, is doing bridging, or doing network connecting. Fatigue sounds like your issue is a resource consumption issue. Like, take a
Yeah,
screenshot
my,
of the amount of memory consumption and storage consumption that you have on your machine when you're running Meshery. And
No, I don't think so. But my all container is not running. Like here we
Yeah.
are seeing that container are pulling and restarting, but my all containers are not running.
yeah, cool. I don't believe you. Take a screenshot, please, of your resources.
Yeah, the part of, I mean, Lee's true about it, that part of the reason your containers won't start because of the resource restrictions, and the Minikube itself takes a lot of memory. So adding, I mean, you might have limited resources in your computer. Maybe I don't, yeah. So basically, there is something wrong with the resources.
Yeah, there is. Pratik, I'll bet you $100. Seriously, you'll send me 100. Oh no, you'll send me however many rupees that is, and I'll send you 100. Seriously, let's make the deal right now. If you want to tell me that it's not resources, what you're probably forgetting, and all of us do, or at least I do, is that Minikube is running in its own virtual machine. That virtual machine is resource bound to the resources that you've allocated to it, which may not be your full system resources. So you go look at your system, and your system says you're fine. You got more left, but you didn't give enough to your Kubernetes instance running in a separate VM, which is resource bound or constrained. You're probably hitting the limits over there, and you're not realizing it.
okay. Like it's taking so
Yeah.
much time, but after that I was able to access it from
Okay,
here.
in that case, like since we have other agenda items too, and we have limited time, so we may start off this, I mean, continue this conversation on Slack, and probably, once you have something ready, or your containers are ready, or whatever the state it is in, so we can
Yeah,
have the
okay.
conversation going on from there. Other than that,
Okay.
the suggestions from the people inside the community are that you should use, since you're already using Docker desktop, so you should be better be using the Kubernetes provided by Docker desktop itself. So you have to just go to settings in the Docker desktop and enable the Kubernetes panel service from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, that will be connected to the Meshery in the extension by default.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We shall definitely
Okay.
try.
Yeah. In case you get some problems, so you can always
Yeah,
tell us into this.
the issue for these two gentlemen is that they've been stuck for a long time and they can't figure it out. And I've been telling them what to do in Slack, and they still don't understand it. And that, like, so I told them to put their agenda item here, so we walked through it with them. And so
Okay.
I think we kind of did is like, hey, you guys might get blocked again, but there's two things that have been identified that we can say with high confidence. Ashish, you're probably resource bound. Check on your Minikube VM if you're going to still use
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Oh, no,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I will try.
I meant to say Pratik. Pratik, you are probably resource.
Okay. I am running Minikube on my actually Docker desktop, and also there is my Meshery extension. But can I share my screen?
Yeah, you got to do it fast
Yeah.
though. You're not running
Okay,
Minikube. If you're running Minikube on your Docker desktop, that's even more layers of virtualization, which would be interesting. Which would also convolute your networking challenge. What you guys really want to do, if you do have Docker desktop, what you just want to do is turn on Kubernetes and Docker desktop. That's it. Just have Docker, Kubernetes. They're both in Docker desktop. The third thing you want to do is just install the Meshery extension. And there won't be any networking challenges then. You still might be resource constrained. I don't know. It just depends on your system.
So there are, I think part of the people are using Windows also. So if someone uses Windows and they are successful with their setup, then you both of, I mean, all of you can hang out and get the problem fixed. Because it might be some environment related issue also. By the way, Pratik, you are sharing your screen or not?
Oh, I had a network.
Sorry.
I had a network issue.
Okay, okay, you have a network issue. Okay, in that case, like, okay. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, Meshery what system start, and that's it. Left containers are not running, and I am getting this error message.
So it says like port is already allocated. So there might be,
So I
this
have to
service is
forward the
already,
port.
yeah. Ashish, you probably would, see this issue because that's coming from the Meshery app mesh container, and the port is already allocated. So
Okay,
you
okay,
can,
okay. I
copy
understand.
that. Yeah, you can kill
I
the
will
port.
continue. Okay.
Uh, yeah. So there is a
Or you
command.
can
I
also
think
run
kill is the one.
Meshery
You
system
can kill that
stop.
port.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can also run Meshery system stop. It'll just clean everything.
Okay, okay. And I will keep this
Uh,
conversation in Slack. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So Rituraj had a great point of suggestion where just do Meshery CTL system stop, so it may, free up all your ports and free all your resources. Okay, thank you, Debashish and Pratik. Let's move on to the next topic. Ola, David. So we might be missing him in the call, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I dropped that in that agenda item. I thought that Toulouse,
Yeah.
David would show up. So I'll just speak to it real fast. If you click on the link to, that's a Google Doc of an article that Toulouse, oh man, I have a hard time with David's first name. But that David has written. This is his second article that he's written for publication on layer5.io. He's participating in the writing program that the community has. If you're not familiar with the writing program, it's inside of the community handbook. If you're not familiar with the community handbook, then this link will help. But yeah, there's a writing program. I encourage all of you to participate if you've got, if you know how to punctuate the end of your sentences. And to write complete sentences that have subject and predicate and occasionally use a prepositional phrase, maybe the occasional adverb or adjective as well. If you can capitalize the start of your sentences, insert commas where they go, then you should participate in the writing program. You'll probably learn a lot and will give you your 15 minutes of internet fame as well. So cool. So there's a link to the writing program out there. David just posted this for review. And so take a moment, review, offer feedback if you would. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, nice.
For Pratik and Debashish, if you guys would do me this favor, take if you do bump into further questions, please ask them on the discussion forum so that those that follow behind you can benefit as well. Because you guys are having to, stub your toes on issues that other people can avoid a stub toe.
Okay, sure.
Okay, okay.
Okay, yeah. So simplifying Kubernetes security is a blog or the article that Ola David has written, and yeah, so it needs your review. So you can get to this link and review the article and give your suggestions. So moving to the next item by Nishant. So yes, some updates on the PR6480. Nishant.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Yeah, so I created a this issue a month back, and this was the likely the final item for the homebrew transition. That is, so like to give an overview. So when we have releases of versions um, of this manner, the homebrew's version parser can't parse our version correctly, and that's why we have to explicitly mention the version in our formula. But when we have releases of simple releases like 0.6.2, we can't mention the version explicitly, and that causes our workflow to kind of that causes homebrew CI to break. So that is why. The what we want to do in this issue is automatically modify our workflow so that it takes our these kind of releases into account, and if we have a release that homebrew can't parse, it automatically adds a version property in the our Meshery CTL formula. And yeah, and like if it's still not clear, you can go through this complete um, abstract, and it will be more clear. So I had some updates. I went through some of the code of brew, and yeah. So, yeah, homebrew has many rejects parsers for parsing the versions, and I think they try to incorporate all the valid uh, releases according to the semantic versioning, but they don't have a rejects for that sort of release. That is 0.a.b.c slash rc dot something something. But looking at this, I think that if we raise a issue or a pull request, they will be willing to add that sort of version in their version password. So I think that I'll try to do that as the uh, like that should be the best case scenario. In case they don't allow that, we can manually modify the this is the GitHub action that we use to make the release, and we can manually modify some of the code here, and easily like we can write a logic that saying that if the release of this sort, then manually add a version field, and if it's not, then delete that field if it exists. So that was my update. Yeah, but as a first step, I'll try to make a pull request or raise a discussion with homebrew maintainers for adding that sort of versioning in their code.
Okay, thank you, Nishant. Yeah, moving to the next item. So this is about a fixing UI integration test, and recently, since we have upgraded to some I mean node version 18, so there has been problems with the failing test, and uh, there were some edge cases which were missed while modifying the actions and workflows. So with time they were reported, and they were fixed with time. So that's one of the issue that is being fixed yesterday. So it's about like integration tests. So integration test due to due to one of the problem here, due to the node version update. So uh, because node version 18 and node version 16 differ by a node option, and one node option that we use is not available in node version 16. And when that script is run with the node version 16, so that throws an errors and the build and everything fails. So uh, that's why this workflow changes here, to fix that thing. Anyways, there is the mystery still going on, that why, since we have updated to node version 18, and in our all workflows, and the secrets has been updated to node 18 node version also. So still, some integration test and build commands are using node 16 as a node binary to run the tests, run the build commands in the workflow. So we were investigating on this problem, but we actually couldn't find the root cause of it. But anyways, like just for the temporary fix, since using 16 also don't hurt us, so uh, we had modified the script uh, to use the 16 version to build and run integration tests. So that's the update. Mario was also in the sync with me on this issue, and we couldn't find the actual cause of why it is still using node 16 and not 18. So I think we may get into the cause very soon. So after that, that would be something of a permanent sort of fix. But anyways, yeah, that's the small update that I had. Okay, then there is moving to MUI v5 plans, and that's a long standing plan also. So we have another branch also, which is called Meshery restructuring branch. I might be seeing it here. Yeah, this one. So we now there are, I mean, moving to MVI v5 and upgraded latest next version, and some latest dependency inside for UI. So we have two paths to go. I mean, two roads to go, and we can only choose one for the time. So we have, one is that this restructuring UI branch, where there is very small amount of code being written here, and most of the work is being done by uh, our previous intern Yash and his team. So what's written in here is that all the best practices and the UI code is written with the MUI v5 and updated next versions. So let me grab the next version just real quick. Yeah, so we might see next version somewhere around here. So we are using next 12 and MUI 5, right? So we are using MUI 5 and next 12. So everything is updated in this branch with regard to package, and there has been, since it has bootstrapped or started from start. I mean, it's been written very uh, it's being written just 4 or 5 months ago. So what we had practiced and what we have tried to do here is that we tried to follow the best coding conventions around UI, and we have different state management systems here, like better code is written here, but what it lacks is the update. I mean, whatever we have the updates for the Meshery UI in the current system in the master branch, it doesn't have it we doesn't have it here. So since we want to upgrade to MY v5 and next 12 or 13, so we might go to this branch and make all the changes. I mean, grab all the changes from the current Meshery UI and put it all here as a one big PR, or do, I mean, use the current master branch only, and use this migration docs to move from v4 to v5. So that will also contain migrating from Next and React. So we use React 16, uh, if I'm not wrong. Like, yeah, but and we have to move to React 17. So that would be a big PR, and the migration would be uh, yeah, it would be a, I mean, big change. And I think, yeah, so it's really very important, because we might be able to use the latest things that MVI provides, uh, more optimizations that it may have done over time. So, and since it is now stable, so we should use it. We are just confused about which part to choose. Okay. Do we have something on this topic, like V4 to V5 migration? Like, someone has any comments? As I said, like, we have to take considerations these two scenarios where we are using old code with better practices and new code with older practices. So the amount of trade-off that we can make. Yeah.
And I've asked this in the past, but we're for sure that like you can't just take this piecemeal. Like MUI 4 does not work with Next.js 13, or MUI 5 does not work with Next.js 12, or like any of the other combinations. Because to break it down into smaller to break it down into smaller objectives is to make it less risky and more achievable. So that's why I ask again.
Maybe I mean, when we move to the latest version, so there is already always a point of backward compatibility that packages as big as Next or React makes, right? So for that's completely possible that V4 might be compatible with the Next 13 or Next 12. I'm just not sure about it right now because I haven't actually searched or researched on this topic.
So in part, I think Abhi is calling for volunteers or people who are interested in working on this. It's a major overhaul of Meshery UI, but it doesn't have to be major in the sense that it's not accomplishable. My recommendation for you all to consider is to maybe leave this branch where it is, in work off of master, upgrade some of those internal architectural or framework components, onesie twosie if you can, which is to say one at a time if you can. If not, then find two at a time. And as part of that, take it step by step, such that like React or the Redux and the different state management that we're looking to arrive at ultimately, like don't incorporate that yet, just upgrade the underlying framework components. And then we'll have parity in terms of current feature set in Meshery UI and all the bugs that have been fixed and all of the aesthetics that have been worked on. And then from there, reassess after that what to do with, or how to capitalize on the work that's been done in the restructuring branch. And if some of that can be pulled over, maybe look at just pulling from there over to master, as opposed to a whole hog, which is an American mannerism, over to the other branch, which is just ain't gonna happen because we don't have, I'll just put it out there, I dare say we don't have there might not, I'm not sure if we have folks who are on this call that are capable of achieving that, at least in a timely fashion. Like it's not a trivial thing. And to do it while the train is in motion, to do it while the car is rolling down the road and there's code changing around you, is pretty difficult. And code will continue to change around you because there will be bug fixes or small enhancements that go on in Meshery UI. And so it's almost like chasing, it's almost like two branches are parallel to one another, meaning they'll never come together. because the other one keeps changing. Anyway, so one way to circumvent that is to just do it, just have one path.
Okay, in that case, like my suggestion would be to, of course, definitely use a master that we use right now. And I mean, it's very difficult for any new people here to, you know, start off doing some work in this area, because I don't think there has been some guiding instructions written considering that road we are taking. So probably it's first of all, we have to, you know, since we are considering road number one, which is use the master branch and pulls things and best practices, and update the packages from least version to the, I mean, to the latest version. So we might, you know, break off the task into smaller items, and probably some folks might be interested in picking them up, and I mean, they're welcome to do so. Okay, so the next item is by Franklin, fixing Meshery Cloud login page. So he might have some updates from here.
Guys, well, I kind of so let me share my screen and show what the issue currently is I'm trying to achieve. Whenever you hit the Meshery Cloud login page, you can see that there's like a flash, right? So we're trying to probably load this first without the flash, but then this GIF animation is like really large, so it's not able to load like properly sequentially without having to flash on the page that way. And I've tried a couple of things. I've tried hiding this first in my JavaScript code, hiding this section of the code first before running this, right? Just to see if then when this is properly loaded, then display this, but the flash is still showing. I've tried some options with the library. So we're currently using Slick for this slider. Like, so I've tried some options. There are some lazy loading options that I've tried and it's still not working. So I'm just putting this out here. If there is anyone with an idea or any suggestions that could help make this work better for this to stop working. So if I reduce the network, the bandwidth, say to 2G, you might be able to see what I'm saying and see the flash, right? So yeah, that's the challenge. Is there anyone that have an idea?
What might be the reason of flash is like, I mean, the CSS loads late and the HTML loads as soon as the page loads, and there is some library specific thing that's being done here which loads later after that point. So yeah, I mean, that could be the possible reason of.
Yeah, looking through it, I could also share the. This is the HTML code, and you can look at the CSS loading where they are supposed to be on the head, or on the head tag, right? So just ignore this. I'm just trying out a couple of things, but I think this is our custom CSS, and then this is the library CSS. This Slick CSS here. So these are loading fine. Like this is the normal sequence, like and then this is the JavaScript part here.
Oh, are you sharing some other screen because your Firefox is? I mean.
Oh, okay. I might have to. Sorry about that. Can see my file. One sec. I'm just going to share. Okay. So can you see my?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the CSS part loading where it should. Right. This is the Slick library CSS here. This is our custom CSS here, loading as it should. And then these are the JavaScript parts, right? This is where this is the JavaScript, and this is like for conventional jQuery and vanilla JavaScript applications, this is how to structure it. This is the best possible
So you
approach.
use that materialize and I mean related, they are all CSS libraries, right?
Pardon?
I mean, if you go to
Yeah.
this on the page line number 237, it is materialize min.js. So it is a
Yeah.
CSS library too, right?
Yes, it's a materialized library. Yeah.
So you might be interested in downloading it as early as loading the content on the HTML. I mean on the
Okay.
Windows.
So you think that the CDN will be
Maybe
like
I'm just
yeah.
hopeful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is something I could try, but I would have to do it for every single one of them, and that's not an issue. But to be honest, I think it has to do with like how heavy one of the content of this is. This. Okay. I think I have it here. So I think it has to do with like this is a GIF, and this is really really heavy, and that is just the major problem. I could try, as you said, to load it locally here without having to use CDN. But to be honest, I've considered that, and I don't think that would make much of a difference. To be honest, yeah. The other thing I tried was on document ready, this slick. This is where the slider starts to work. This is where it kind of loads, right? So this is inside this document ready, which should only run when everything on the HTML DOM page or everything on the DOM has been loaded, right? But still, this is not working, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. If there's any ideas.
For the time, okay, yeah, got.
Well,
okay, yeah. The last comment that I had was, do you have? Do you have any way of getting to know like when the UI is fully loaded? In case there is some problems with the CSS and flashing, so you might be interested in showing the loading bar, because the CSS isn't just ready yet, and once the everything is ready, you can just load the contents.
Yeah. But I've also thought of that, and that is one approach that I'm thinking of taking. And to be honest, I will have to do some research there. But the thing is, this is a login page, right? And yeah, like the major aspect here would be come here and log in, right? And if you're like waiting for it to load and stuff, it's not very good user experience for the users. You know what I mean? Like
true.
you should just display the form first and then have them sign it. So
Yep, got it.
Yeah, well.
Okay, yeah. So you can also see the lazy loading thing, because if someone is loading this page on for the first time on their browser and there is nothing cached into there, so they see a huge difference. Like they have to wait for 4-5 seconds for the page to completely load up. So for that bigger GIF that you are showing up, so definitely the lazy loading and something of that sort may help.
Okay. Well, I continue to try and see if there's any other ideas, guys. Any other ideas? Just an idea. Other ideas? No. Okay. Well.
Dropped one into the chat. I dropped one into chat. For custom CSS. One is just to watch for the document being ready, or for those particular elements, like the largest of the elements to be ready, or to get into an array all of the carousel images, which I think is probably the thing that's causing some slowness in terms of loading. Set every element, well, like set the topmost div or a container on that right-hand side to visibility none or hidden until things are loaded, and then just at the top level switch that element
Okay.
to visible, something like that.
Okay, on the right hand side where the carousel is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, yes. Okay.
Another way is
Okay.
yeah, another way is kind of with respect in context of the lazy loading suggestion. There's also, you occasionally see how any number of websites will load a low res version of a particular element, of a particular image, usually initially, before and while the rest in the background is loading. Part of what would take away the ugliness, because I don't know that everyone saw it here, but if you do set the bandwidth, if you do throttle, you'll end up seeing a bunch of black. You'll see the same text that you'll normally see, but you'll see it stacked on one another, not presented how it should be. You'll see it in black font color, not white. Like it's ugly if you're on a slow network. Anyway, the other way to control this is to control the sequence by which the CSS is loaded, or the elements are loaded, to the extent that that helps avoid ugly renderings, kind of early renderings.
Do you mean the elements of the slider, like can I maybe take the GIF to the second? You know, the GIF is currently like the first thing that loads. Are you talking about that, like those images on the slider, or?
Yeah, and the text inside the slider, because that's actually the black stuff that you'll see in that area is the three different slides. They all have text that goes with them, and before they get styled, before their style loads, the text is presented in a black color, which just looks ugly, and they're stacked. Like, anyway, there are a bunch of different approaches to dealing with it. The first one that's like either late, like this first one that I was mentioning in chat, so it universally just says, look, just however long that stuff takes, wait until it's all ready, and at some point, some event, whether it's document ready or something else, then show those things. You could have a placeholder there if you wanted to get fancy, but probably not necessary. Cool.
Yeah.
I know we're running out of time, so
I did the hide stuff for the left, so let me try it for the right part, which is where yeah, I think that is a good idea. I'll try that out.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Franklin. Moving to the next item by Harkirat. Yeah, something about minor node configurations.
Yeah, Avi, if you can open this bow. So I did some
Okay.
fixes to the node configuration form. So we use RJSF for the form component, which we use in design configurator in the mesh map itself. So I did some fixes to the node configuration form, and that is pretty much about it. Thank you.
Okay.
It's over.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Anyways, you might have shared the screen
yeah.
and showed your.
It's otherwise not very. It's like a check in the box for having an agenda item. It's not like a helpful update. Do you have a screenshot, Harkarat? Maybe you can just share that in Slack or in.
sure. Sure, I would.
Okay, fine. We are in crunch of time, so moving back to the Lee. Yeah, you're sharing this.
No, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so next item was about, so one minor update about Meshery CTL failing tests. Meshery CTL tests were failing because the expected output of one of the commands were updated and not the golden files weren't updated. So this is for all the Meshery CTL contributors, that whenever you update any kind of output relating to Meshery CTL, please also update the golden files or the test would fail. So if this is already not in the developer guide, it should be added. Otherwise, that's just a minor note about this. Other than that, the second thing was about mesh model components.
So recently, we are migrating from, so these components are a way to describe the internals of our system, which we were using OM spec, Open Application Model Specification, a subset of that earlier, and now we're moving over to something different. So the Meshery, basically mesh in the core of Meshery, the new components have been added. Also in Meshery Istio, this PR was merged yesterday. So these 3000 files that you see, these are the new components, and these are added here, and so subsequently these changes will be propagated across all the other adapters. And the next item was from Ruturaj, which was related to this thing only, which is to add mesh model component in Linkerd and then in all other adapters as well. And he has created this PR. He has laid out the he has updated the adapter library to the latest, and also has added the appropriate things from the integrations spreadsheet. So we have an integration spreadsheet. This integration spreadsheet basically maps what are all the components that we support from all of the repositories. For example, we support Istio now. Here we describe everything about that thing. So from category to subcategory, like for example, Istio would come under orchestration and management, and the subcategory would be service mesh, and so on and so forth. So those things will be used by each of the adapters. So yeah, this is a small change. Also, this change would make sure that on subsequent, whenever there is a nightly workflow that kicks in and generates components for newer versions of Istio or newer mesh model components, but also for all the components for which we have OM components for all the previous versions, we also need to generate. So Ruturaj would be making that one change, so that here also we get that 3000 something the files changed, and the same change would be needed across all other repositories. So if anyone wants to contribute to adapters, although okay, I take my words back, because this is something that we need to get done really fast. So maybe you can, if you want, you can, in the Meshery adapters channel, we would be updating upon this particular change. And if you want to review or something to get better understanding of the code, then you're more than happy to come and review the code. Most probably me and Ruturaj would be propagating this change across the other adapters, and this would be done by today, tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, like within this week. So most probably by tomorrow. So with this change in the adapters and Meshery, between these things, the front end part of like the half effort of moving to mesh model components would be completed. And then most probably, so one note for Abhi would be that since Istio adapter now has those components. If you want to, and it has components with things like primary color and everything. So if you want to, in your local environment, you can run Istio adapter and see if you can use that data that is passed in the mesh model components to render on the designer page. And you can, like if you run into any problems or something, if some data is not as expected, so all the data would be just as, so the fields would be just the fields that you should be expecting would be exactly like the columns here. And I have also added a note here that no column name has to be changed without changing the code, because this column name directly corresponds to something inside of the code. So yeah, those are a few things. And I hope that Abhi already has a PR. I guess it is in mesh map. So in that PR only, he'll make the change and send out the recording to see, so that we can see the newer components with logo and everything. Yeah, so that was about my updates. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ashish. On that regard, I'll get to the prototype of using the mesh map metadata. I mean mesh model metadata for styling and display name and the rest of the things that we might need. Okay, yeah. So moving ahead to Harshit, he might be talking about dark mode and Meshery.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello. Okay, so
Yes,
yeah.
yes, you are.
Okay, so yeah, I am on this dark mode theme of a Meshery, and this PR is completed and ready for review now. So, and my request for all to just check this theme, check out this, and please correct if you find any errors or anything in this PR. But yeah, this is in a ready to review state now. Also, a docs is also, I will send a docs. I mean, just a few hours from this call. I mean, I will send it now. So to you can take the reference from that docs that what we are doing and why we are doing that, the scope of the change. And also, this PR is not just on the dark theme now. It is also we are migrating from to width styles only now. So there is a big changes in this PR, and my request is to just to all to just review the PR and just check out the theme.
Okay. Okay, in that case, you might you can just uh, paste the link to the docs in the in the description of this PR or in a separate comment. Anyways, like since you have already, since your doc is ready, so we might be able to review it, right? And another thing is, so there is no change for the on. I mean, there would be no difference with respect to the light theme inside the Meshery after this PR is merged, right?
No, there's not.
Yeah, so this should be ideal. Yeah, that's good. And okay, yeah, I don't have another comment here just yet. Yeah, the one final thing, uh, since this is a big change, so yeah, I mean, you might be interested in checking out to the code of this PR and building the Meshery UI with the help of build commands and just try it on and grab the bugs, because since that is in the PR phase right now. I mean, that code is just in the motion, so the bugs that you might be finding would be I mean, it would be fixed fastly. So yeah.
Okay, got you.
Okay. So
So is it possible to include this in, well, to get this merged, but disable view of that toggle switch so that it becomes easier for others to just test? Like if there was some query string or some cookie or some other setting that they could make to enable it, like a feature flag, but not have it visible to everybody else.
Like a query param could enable visibility of that toggle, right?
That'd be, yes.
I mean, I didn't get the question. I mean, I think you are asking that to just see the dark theme only and not just see the light theme. I mean,
I interpret what Lee said as adding some kind of flag so that the toggle is not displayed by default, but only on a certain condition. Like let's say we visit a page and we add a query parameter that is called display dark theme toggle true, and then that would cause the toggle to start appearing. So that is a really common convention for the testing features. Like you deploy the feature, but you don't expose it. So that's really common in practice.
okay, so I mean to toggle the dark theme, we have to go to the settings. I think that's what I mean.
Yeah. It's basically just adding like a condition so that if there's no, let's say, a query parameter in the URL, that toggle's never there. So users regularly would not be able to toggle it off. So this is so that we can test it on demand, have it ready, but not exposed until we consider it's fit for regular users. Is that correctly? Maybe you can.
Yeah, I didn't hear that last part, but the first thing you said was totally spot on. And the fact that Harshit can't understand it is, I don't know, you guys should take it offline. You can explain it to him.
Yeah, we can consider some ideas of how to implement this feature flag, basically.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, ideally it wouldn't. Yeah, it's unfortunate that well, I say unfortunate. There's some that would require a backend change. And it would be fairly nominal. Like it actually could be a query parameter that just takes 2 lines of Golang or something to just insert a new element in the DOM, or like, yeah, there just needs to be some flag that.
But do you consider we should need a service so that backend manages the flag, or something just in the front end, right?
Yeah, yeah, ideally front end, like
just front end.
Yeah, you could, if you step back for a minute, like, yes, exactly what you just said. The only way that you might consider changing that answer is if it was something that would happen with relative frequency. Say, oh, let's say, what about a feature flagging system, or like, what about some framework that's fairly, readily available?
More elaborate. Yeah. So something simple for now to hide the toggle by default.
Okay, yeah. One more thing I want to add here, that if you're just toggling the theme, it will also have an effect on the mesh map also. I mean, but not in this call. We can discuss in a later call. But I mean, the overall theme of the project is being changed. So I mean, that will have effect on extension also, because we are following passing the same elements, and both have the effect of that. But yeah, that's a discussion for a late meeting, not for now. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Harsh. Yep. Okay, so we might call it a wrap because we are over time. And thank you, like, once again for joining the call. And we might, we will meet you in the next meeting, same time. And tomorrow is a newcomers call. So if someone is interested to join that call, and they are welcome to do so. Okay, with that, yeah, thank you.
Thanks all. Bye.